Huddle around as Climbing the Pocket Network presents Jayson and the boys talking everything Minnesota Vikings. Watch the countdown timer.
Away we go again. Lost like I'm lost on purpose. If found, please return to. Girl, don't you know I'm lost on the road. I've been here before when I get home, Girl, don't you know I'm lost on the road. I've been here before when I get home, My vision blurry, I'm paying the cost. I'm not enough. In fact, it's even better when you're not involved. When I miss your call, I feel that I evolve. Cause at your mention, I am more dependent than a college student on their parents or an old person on their pension. Not to mention, when you hit me on WhatsApp without attention and a bad booty bitch walks in, she looks tempting. Look, my Achilles heel is when I say what I feel, you say, baby, come home, and I don't think that I will, cause all this motherfucking stress is gonna get me killed. Woo. Girl, don't you know I'm lost on the road. I've been here before when I get home, Girl, don't you know I'm lost on the road. I've been here before when I get home,
Huddle around as Climbing the Pocket Network presents Jayson and the boys talking everything Minnesota Vikings.
No, I can't play these games. No, you can't disrespect and call me names. Sending me signals like you about to switch lanes. Well, go on, do your thing. Go on, do your thing. I mix champagne and propane, get lit. I'm trying to forget all the things that you said, all the things that we did. Girl, don't you know I'm lost on the road. I've been here before when I get home, Girl, don't you know I'm lost on the road. I've been here before when I get home, Watch the breakdown. And I get home when I get home. You just gonna act like we normal now. Good luck. Don't you try to call me with that bullshit, telling me you're sorry. You act too quick. That's somebody else's problem now. You're somebody else's problem now. Don't you try to call me with that bullshit, telling me you're sorry. You act too quick. That's somebody else's problem now. You're somebody else's problem now.
Hey guys, we're here tonight, Tuesday night, talking in the huddle Vikings football. And Jayson, how you doing? This is your show. You should be doing the intro.
I mean, it's all right. It's good to have you on camera with us today, David. Flip is here. I am here. And we are here to talk about some Vikings. So let's get into it. David, since it's your first show with all of us in quite a while, I'm going to kick it to you first, my man. How you doing? How you been? How does it feel to be back on this side of the camera again?
Oh, it's great, especially after the win on Sunday. Cheers, all Vikings fans. It always warms my heart beyond belief to beat the Green Bay Packers. And Sunday was marvelous for that. And it's kept me happy all week. You?
All right, well, half of Vikings Twitter is angry at you about that. So, Flip, how do you feel about that?
Yes,
We
sir.
beat the Packers, and now we're not terrible anymore. It's time to string some wins together. Are we getting that 7th seed? What's going on here? Kirk read all your memes. He saw your jersey swaps, and he said, Dalvin, get out there, save my job. And I guess running backs matter now, Flip. Is that what we learned? Is that what it is?
Well, I mean, I always knew that, so maybe you learned that, Jayson. But no matter what, it's great to win against the Green Bay Packers. It's much better feeling on Victory Sunday, Victory Monday. Let's get through this week now, preparing with some optimism back in the spirits of Vikings fans.
All right, well, let's talk about that, Flip, because Eric isn't here with us, but he's always with us in spirit. And he did want it put on the record for this week that he was actually the most optimistic person when talking about the next game coming up of all the folks who were here last week. So you said some more optimism back in, Flip. I guess, you were kind of, we named the last show after one of your rants, fire everybody. And so, they've rattled off a win. We were looking to be buyers, apparently, at the trade market. Does it look like, optimism abounds everywhere? Is this a new team? Looking at the schedule, we might be able to rattle off some wins. Where are you at with this, Flip? Are you doing a 180?
It's a damn shame Eric isn't on this show. I was going to give him credit. I was going to stay quiet, let the man speak his piece. He deserved that because he was right. But since he's not here, I'm just going to have to stick some words in his mouth. One thing Eric said on the last show is he said it would be the most Vikings thing ever to not show up against Atlanta and then show up against Green Bay. And that's where I am with the whole thing is just we have a team. We don't know when they're going to show up. Even if they do rattle off a few wins in a row here, they're still completely at risk of just going in the tank or not showing up or, throwing an interception on the first play of the game down the road here. So I'm not one who's going to count ahead wins when I can't tell which team is going to show up. We're 2-5, one game at a time.
Good
One
advice.
Game at a time. Okay, so David, Flip is taking the measured approach. What did you see out of this team? I know you're happy about us being the Packers, but did you see any material changes in terms of how players were performing on offense, on defense? Like, is there something beyond just, okay, we beat the Packers? Yes, it's great to beat the Packers, but is there something that you saw in that game that you feel like is something we can build on moving forward as we really look at this team? And maybe, we're not the worst team ever.
No, we aren't the worst team ever. That goes to the New York Jets. But I did see stuff that I liked. As many people know, I grew up playing offense and defensive line. I am very much a lineman guy. The offensive line this week absolutely played the best they have played in probably since 2008, I think it is, when the last time that they had no pressures and no sacks. Now, granted, there was only 14 dropbacks, which we'll get into. But the blocking, the run blocking was just extremely outstanding. My boy that I've been a proponent for, and if you've read on Daily Norseman and elsewhere, I was very high on Ezra Cleveland. Ezra Cleveland pancaked blocked. I was like 3 to 5 times different defensive players. I haven't seen that since Jimmy Kleinsaucer warmed my heart doing that in the past. Now, it was the best performance they've had all season. Did the weather affect it? Yes, because Mike Zimmer had Kubiak restrict the amounts of play calls and passes that Kirk Cousins did. He only dropped back 14 times, 10 receptions, not a one of them beyond 9 yards. But it was brilliant. And the screen pass to Dalvin Cook was on fire. The screen pass, he had at least 3 key blocks on that. Irv Smith, I think, was with the first one. Then you saw Garrett Bradbury downfield, and then you saw Ezra Cleveland downfield. When is the last time you see a lineman throwing a block 20, 30 yards downfield like that? That's outstanding. Yes, Green Bay had a hard time tackling and taking good angles, but that's their issue. We played well. Now, on the defensive side, I thought this was one of Zimmer's best, hear me, best called games. because he had so much adversity to deal with Dantzler going out and Boyd going out.
Basically, all the corners going.
All the corners
Everybody
going
was
out.
gone
He
except
was
for
sitting there
two.
shuffling off the top of his head. What do I do? What do I do? I've got to do this. I got to do this. And he made things work to the fact that at the end of the game, Ant Harris was coming down and playing nickel, and we saw Metellus back in his spot. That on the fly thinking that worked shows the potential. Zimmer's a great defensive mind. I'm convinced he can do defense if he's given the right opportunity and the ability to do such. Now, with how this game went, I sort of think there's a Zimmer telling Spielman, to go fornicate with himself because, Spielman was the one that was hot on Kirk Cousins. The key to the game, partly due to weather, was to keep the ball out of Kirk Cousins' ability to throw it, make poor decisions throwing, keep him handing off the ball. That worked in this game and in this situation. And weather helped with that. If weather wasn't there, it may be a different story, but it helped. And I appreciate that. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it to no end.
So, Flip, your boy, Riley Reif, the top-rated Minnesota Viking player on the offensive side of the ball in this game, followed up by David's boy, Ezra Cleveland. How did you feel watching that offensive line performance? And I guess the next part, the third highest-rated player on the offense overall was Dalvin Cook, and people seem to be upset about that. So I guess, Flip, walk me through your perspective on how well the offensive line played, and then why are people upset about Dalvin Cook being graded out at 78.3? I don't understand. That's a very good grade. Why are we mad? Our offensive line did all the things we wanted it to do, Flip.
Yeah, I mean, David summed it up perfectly. Early on in that game, I saw probably one stupid-ass play from the offensive line, but we don't even remember it anymore because of all the great blocking they had, not just on the runs, but on most of the passes. They kept the Green Bay defense honest. They took it to the Green Bay defense. They dictated that ball game, and that's just great to see from the offensive line. So I have no gripes. That's the exact offensive line I've wanted to see. I give the OL coach, Rick Dennison, I give him credit for how he's treated Ezra Cleveland. It's great to see that early performance, even though we had no idea what they were doing with Ezra. I still think it's weird to switch him to left tackle in his second year if he's going to play right guard in his first year. I still want to see what happens if Pat Elflein can come back to health and see, does that mean that Ezra stays in there or does Ezra go back to the bench? Does that mean that Dakota Dozier comes out of the game? Because remember, they said, Pat Elflein, we switched you to the left side in 2019. That was a mistake. So we want you on the right side now. Well, now we got Ezra Cleveland in there on the right side. So are you going to go make Pat Elflein pay the left guard position, or are you just going to bench the guy? That's an interesting thing that we might be able to see later on this year. But overall, great offensive line performance. Dalvin Cook, I've always said this about Dalvin Cook. Y'all looking at Dalvin Cook's PFF grades need some education and some medicine. Stop looking at the PFF grades. You don't know what they mean. Clearly, you don't. Dalvin Cook's value is not something that's going to show up in PFF. If you want to look at the advanced stats, if you want to look at his broken tackle rate, his elusiveness rate, maybe even a little bit his yards after contact rate, which isn't as good of a metric as that elusiveness stat, then we can start talking about how Dalvin Cook performed. But stop looking at PFF grades. They're overrated, just like you're overrating the Vikings right now.
Oh,
Well, in
Yeah,
PFF,
I'm not even done. You know, I listened to our boys BJ and Drew today. They're starting to look down the schedule, starting to say, "Oh, look, we can get to 9-7, we can get to 7-6." Just cool it, man. You can ask me about the playoffs when this team is 500, and you can ask me about getting to the Super Bowl after they make the playoffs. You take those steps at a time. Win 3 more in a row, and then we can start talking about playoff football for the Minnesota Vikings.
okay. Flip coming out hot. And so I know, Flip, you've never been on the side of outright tanking. That's never been really your thing. You don't think you look at teams like the Chiefs and what they've been able to do. It's you have a veteran, you bring somebody else in place. And so I know a lot of the talk around tanking really comes in like you want your shot at the best quarterback. And in this draft cycle, it looks like there were some really good ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
The talk is quieted down a little bit, not really because Kirk did much in the game. The Vikings won. People are happy the Vikings won. Where are you at with that now? Because I know you're kind of telling us to pump the brakes a little bit on things. Are you still of the mind that the Vikings, if they're in position, should look to maybe bring in someone to challenge Kirk Cousins, give us better depth at that position? Or, if they do rattle off a couple wins here, do you think it's, we continue to build on this offense? Because, as Nick and others have pointed out, the offense is grading out as a near elite unit right now. If you look, at those PFF grades that you just told us we should discount.
Yeah. So how I would take. Let me say this: a rebuild I really like right now, and we haven't seen results yet, is the Miami Dolphins. You know, they were competitive with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback. There was no real reason for them to make a switch in the short term. A lot of people would have say, "Hey, you're in playoff contention. Let's keep Ryan Fitzpatrick in there and let's compete. Let's try to make the playoffs." But they decided that wasn't the right move. They decided to go with the rookie Tua. Well, why did they do that? They did that because in order to build a roster around the quarterback, you need to know what that quarterback needs. So that first game Miami played, Tua didn't play that well. Now Miami can go back and say, okay, maybe in the draft, we need to get him a wide receiver, or maybe we need to get him a good, reliable tight end next to Mike Gesicki, or maybe we just need to shore up the offensive line for this kid. But now they have more information. They're going to make a better decision because they're more educated on what that specific quarterback needs than they had if they had just benched him the whole year. So translate that to Minnesota. No matter what you do this year, without knowing which quarterback they're going to get, the question is, what can we give that quarterback when he gets in here? And it's not just draft picks. What you can really give him is you can give him a wide receiver group, both Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, one of the best receiver duos in the league. You can give him Irv Smith coming off a great year at tight end where he could overtake Kyle Rudolph, and he has another 16 games of good productive play under his belt. You can give him bookend tackles if you move Ezra Cleveland to left tackle for the next 10 games, and going into 2021 that new quarterback has a left tackle and a right tackle that they can build around. Those are the types of things we're looking for in the long term. We're looking for those short-term games now so we know we have something going into 2021. Same with the defense and the cornerbacks. Those are the types of things we're looking for. We're not just looking to tear everything down and then start throwing darts at the wall. That's doing us a disservice because we can make some progress this year with the young players we have on the team.
So you're not in favor of a full-fledged tank because you don't feel like that's necessary. But what you really would like to see is, kind of record be damned at this point, just based on where we are right now in the season. And let's get these young guys as many snaps as they possibly can get. Get Ezra Cleveland.
Correct.
Let's see if he's actually the
Yes.
left tackle of the future or if he needs to stay inside. We want to find out all of those things in what appears to be a lost season. Or do you look at the schedule and think, I mean, the Lions are beatable. The Bears, they give us fits, but they're not very good. The Cowboys are awful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are games we can win. You're talking about 500. I mean, Teddy, we don't know who's playing quarterback for the Jaguars. I mean, it's kind of flipped up where things could be looking very different for this team as we get a month from now.
But
which
point,
one
Jayson,
for you are you looking at? Are you thinking, because Mike Zimmer, he's going to want to win all those games?
My point, Jayson, is you don't have to choose. And us fans, we got to stop trying to make it a choice. The Kansas City Chiefs, when they rebuilt around Patrick Mahomes, they didn't have to choose. They competed for the Super Bowl. They were in the playoffs every year before making the transition to Mahomes.
Who's your highest graded offensive line from starter to bench, I mean, that's a choice, and that's a choice that there's likely to be some growing pains around. So it doesn't need to be a choice in terms of tank, not tank, but shuffling those pieces around to get some of that information. Those are choices that would have potential implications on the season right now. Like Ezra Cleveland's playing right guard right now. Moving him out to left tackle, I mean, that's a big transition for a guy who didn't play against the top flight competition when he was in university and hasn't had really an off season. So
I mean, he's got 50 games of left tackle play under his belt. And yeah, for those choices, look, put Ezra Cleveland out there. If it's a disaster, then it's a disaster. You can go back to Riley Reiff, who signed through 2021, and say, hey, at least we tried that. The worst case scenario is you keep Ezra Cleveland, you try to move him at the start of the 2021 season, and that's when you have a disaster trying to protect the blind side of your new quarterback.
I'll give you a scenario you haven't heard.
It's going to be Kirk, Flip. It's going to be Kirk.
What if they move O'Neal to left tackle?
They need to leave that man alone.
And that's the thing is
I've heard that they want to do that.
Well, either way, my point is you do it with the long term in mind. O'Neal, they put that man at right tackle, and he was so good there that he stayed there. Now they could have done it differently. They could have given him a redshirt year, and maybe O'Neal's already at left tackle, but with less experience. So again, these long term moves. Miami still won the game even when they switched to Tua. Kansas City rebuilt on the fly. That's because you're giving these guys confidence, experience. You're giving Ezra Cleveland his first game, right guard. His running back goes off for 226 all-purpose yards. That's a great moment. DJ won with a big game-defining play that could affect the rest of his career. That's key in a young player, in a young man's development. So you take that chance to get these guys in a winning system, in a winning culture, and let's see if they can perform now, and hopefully that leads to something in the future.
Flip, you mentioned Flip, DJ Wonnum.
I just wanted to throw you one question based on something Flip just said right there about winning system, winning culture, and you mentioned it as well, David, which is why I wanted to flip it back to you, is the old salute that maybe Zim threw up to Rick in terms of the game plan. And yes, we had the weather. Yes, we had all those things going on. But I mean, we've been talking about it for a while. Like the way Zim wants to win is the way we won that game against Green Bay. Controlling it in the trenches, running the ball, Dalvin Cook winning everybody's fantasy football week. I know you love the trenches, David. How are you feeling about that? And do you think that that's like we're going to double down on that strategy as we go into like the next week and the next week, and we're going to continue to play that style of football, like that, like, and build around that culture where we're gonna run the football, and there's nothing you can do about it. And Kirk, for all intents and purposes, we're gonna minimize him. We're gonna turn Kirk into Ryan Tannehill, and hope that when we need him to make some efficient throws, he's there to do it.
I'll take some Ryan Tannehill.
We're going to, we're gonna let Dalvin, as far as Dalvin can take us, is where we're gonna go. And how do you feel if that's the way the team decides to continue to build, given the talent that we do have on the roster?
Well, we do have talent, obviously, especially at wide receiver with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. I do believe Irv Smith Jr. is a up-and-comer. But I can see the Vikings, and I can see the mentality behind it. Zimmer wants to run the ball. It's more old school, right? The zone run versus power run blocking, we can get into that argument, but he wants to run. Dalvin Cook is extremely gifted in the way that he can see openings better than any other back and then make the move to do that. That feeds into that. Now, what I sort of think Zimmer's doing is something that sort of Denny Green did. Denny Green's philosophy back in the day was, I got to win the division first. Now, I'd love Zimmer to take that on as his mantra. But Denny Green said, well, if all the division is playing West Coast offense, I'm going to play Coryell, right? And he made that work. I think Zimmer is sort of pushing back on the league, even though this is a pass-happy league. We know, and hey, I love advanced analytics as much as the next guy. We know passes get you more points overall, etc. But I think he's sort of saying, I'm going to go against the grain and I'm going to beat you that way. If it works, it's brilliant. If it's not, it costs him his job. But I'm happy with it. I'm cool with him trying, because the other way is not working, where it's wishy-washy. Do whatever. That doesn't work. So pick a direction and go.
Get it, Flip?
Yeah, it will not work. It is a cycle of death, and we have seen it for the entire Zimmer era. Here's what happens. They start to run the ball. It goes well. Then what happens next?
Well, then it fails.
It doesn't go well, and we have to rely on.
Then the running back.
Then we got to rely
injured.
on Kirk Cousins.
The running back gets injured.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what happens. So running game goes well. Running back gets injured. Then we're like, okay, we got to rely on Kirk Cousins, and Kirk puts together his longest possible stretch of good play, which is 2 to 3 games. So now everybody's happy. They're like, oh, we can pass the ball 2 to 3 games. And then what happens? Kirk starts acting like a teenager again. He forgets that defensive linemen exist. And then we're like, oh, crap. We got to start running the ball. And then,
you're right.
Okay, we run the ball. Dalvin Cook, he's back and healthy. We crush it again. Then he gets hurt again. Endless cycle of death. The system will not work.
Well, it definitely takes people staying healthy. Yes, I agree.
If we had a quarterback who could play consistently for 16 games, which we don't have right now, then, yeah, we can go this run-first approach knowing that we can just flip it over to the pass game as needed. Or if we had a running back that never got injured, sure, yeah, we could try to run it down the throats with a guy like Dalvin Cook's skill. But we don't have either of those things. So stop building a system that requires those insane-ass things.
So Flip, is your thought then that to go all in on like the strategy that David's talking about, should they invest more draft capital at the running back position? Should they get another player as dynamic as Dalvin Cook, so that if he goes down, they can have another player with a more similar skill set? Alexander Mattison is a solid player, but he's not breaking games open like Dalvin Cook. Like, do you feel like they should do what the Patriots did? You've talked about it. Like, you've talked about the Patriots adding more and more draft capital. Doesn't seem to be working out very well for them now that Tom Brady is gone. But they added quite a bit of draft capital at that running back position, not working out. And as the commenters are saying, you need that elite quarterback. You need that great quarterback play. But if we're trying to zig when the league is zagging, is it just, load up on the trenches, go get a bunch of running backs, and try to outmuscle everybody on offense? Is that what you think? Like, if you, like you're saying, like they need to go all in on a strategy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if they do that, even if you disagree with the strategy, would that make you more happy about the direction of the team than them kind of what it seems to be throwing darts? We traded for this player. Okay, we're trading him away. Okay, we were gonna be sellers at the trade deadline. Oh no, we won a game. Now we're gonna be buyers. We're bringing everybody in. Let me know, Flip. Like, which way makes you feel like this team is moving in a direction that makes you happier as a fan?
Exactly the first one, man. Push in a direction. I mean, let's look at this thing. We got Dalvin Cook. We got Alex Madison. We got an offensive line that seems to finally be gaining some steam. And we've got an immobile-ass quarterback. Look at what the Baltimore Ravens are doing. So if we want to push that direction, we're a run-based team. Go get you a Greg Roman disciple or a Greg Roman type offensive coordinator who can have that dual threat type quarterback. Put him back there with Madison and Cook and this offensive line, and let's go if that's the way you want to go. But that's a cohesive vision. And that's what I want, because any strategy, you're going to need an inventive offensive mind who can make adjustments here or there, but you have to have an identity that says, this is what we do well, and these are the players who do it well, and that all matches.
So basically it comes back to, again, Kirk, for better or for worse, in this case, because we want to be such a run-heavy team, Kirk still doesn't fit with what we're trying to do because he doesn't add anything to that. And because we're such a run-heavy team, you're putting Kirk in more high-leverage situations like 3rd and long, where he's more apt to do Kirky-type things, like forgetting that the linebacker is dropping back in cover 2, or throwing into trap coverage and some of the things that he's been prone to doing at this point.
Yeah, but there's a difference with Kirk. Kirk has one redeeming point in his game. He is outstanding at play action.
But everyone is outstanding at play action.
Well, not everybody.
But I mean, like pretty much everyone. Like play action is basically like putting the game on beginner.
Yeah, but he's got the arm talent to make it work, and it buys time. If you could take that outstanding run game and then move Kirk into, all right, now we're going to fake it to Dalvin, roll out, hit Adam or Justin deep, I think where you run to set up the pass, which I think Zimmer's trying to do and Kubiak's trying to do, will work. But I agree with you, Flip. Absolutely, they have to know the direction they're going, and that is the one thing right now that I think as an organization they absolutely do not.
Yeah.
They bounce off of.
We have a relative mismatch at the quarterback and running back, and it's funny because people always lean towards the more likable player. I mean, we can go back to 2014. We had a quarterback who wanted to take snaps out of shotgun and a running back who wanted to be in I formation, and it was the same thing. It was a broken-ass offense, and people were like, get Adrian Peterson the heck out of here. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing right now, but everybody's saying it about Kirk instead of about Adrian.
And I just got to push back a little bit on you, David. Right now, and I don't like citing passer rating. I don't like doing it. But if you look up the play action stats for this season, Kirk Cousins currently ranks 26th in the NFL in passer rating on play action, behind notable names such as Gardner Minshew, Joe Burrow.
I like Gardner Minshew. I like his attitude.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I love
Kyle Allen.
Who's
and
that?
Only 1.7 points ahead of Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh my God!
On play action.
Well,
so
Kirk Cousins having the worst season of his career this year. Go figure. 10 interceptions up until this last game. Hey, no, I'm not a Kirk Cousins lover. Trust me. I was the one that lived in Virginia and watched all his games. And I was the one that was yelling against signing him. But this year for him has been bad.
I mean, he's got those garbage time numbers, baby.
He's always had those. He pads his
yards,
stats. And that's what I
get
warned
it.
everybody about, but everybody
I
was
get
like,
it. We're
woo, 4,000 yards,
becoming
30 touchdowns.
another version of the Adrian Peterson Vikings, where we're going to be like picking in the teens forever.
Mm-hmm.
And like everyone is saying, to sustain success, you need a quarterback.
Okay,
How are
but
we going to get the
this is
quarterback?
where
Tell me where we're getting the quarterback.
you can get the quarterback in the teens, and that's again why I keep build around the quarterback. You get a quarterback in the teens, maybe you don't get the first overall quarterback, but your mindset has to be, if your mindset is just get the quarterback and everything will work out, then you're not going to build a champion. What the good teams do is they figure out which quarterback they want for that system, and then they start moving pieces around to get that system and those players. And so, look, the Ravens, if the Ravens don't draft Lamar Jackson, they're not going to be doing this Greg Roman run heavy, option heavy type offense. If we get a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance or a Trevor Lawrence, based on which one we choose, that's going to require different things. So start thinking in that direction is what can we do for this quarterback, not what can this quarterback do for us.
So what should we be doing for Kirk Cousins then that the Vikings haven't already done? Is it just continue to throw assets in the offensive line then? Is that
continue to throw assets in the offensive line? And I'm not happy about it, but that is clearly what he needs.
Well, that and the Wilfs to pay for sports psychologists for him,
and let the defense just be a bunch of these bargain bin guys, and hope that we open those big ass windows at the end of the stadium and start piping some wind in there, because apparently we need that so we can run the ball a lot. The defense doesn't get passed on, and Kirk Cousins only has to throw it, 17 times a game. That's just what it looks like right now. And I'm not happy about that.
And I stand corrected, David.
Again,
it is in fact Kirk Cousins' worst season as an actual starter. As a starter,
he's
2013, 2014 when he came in, his play was worse. But as a starting quarterback, these are his worst seasons.
Yeah,
he's an elite backup quality. He wins
now
5, at the rate of half his games. That is the perfect definition of a backup. So we do need that new quarterback, and he can be found, like Flip said, at 17. He can be found at the end of the round. We took Teddy at the end of the round, but it's got to be available. And this year we have a boatload of picks. No second rounder thanks to the Ngakoue trade, but a boatload of picks.
Mm-hmm.
They can always move up to get somebody if they're smart enough to look. And that's the question. Are they smart enough to look to go grab that guy? As you all know, I did research on what it takes to win a Super Bowl. Every Super Bowl except for 85 and 2013, that's the Bears and the Ravens, they had that elite quarterback with the it factor that helped take them there. That's the only thing that's guaranteed to bump you up that many percentage above everybody else. The quarterback that can make up for the deficiencies, because every team has deficiencies, even Kansas City or whomever, to bump you up enough to get that point. We haven't had that in decades, since I was a kid. And you see this gray? I'm old.
But we also, with these veteran quarterbacks, you don't get to build around them. And that's why I want a rookie quarterback. Yes. So, Jason, let me put it this way. Trade deadline passed today, and everybody thought that, Riley Reif would be the most tradable asset on the Vikings offense. If we're looking at a run-heavy Kirk Cousins type offense, the most tradable asset was not Riley Reif. The most tradable asset probably would have been Adam Thielen, because that type of offense isn't one that needs multiple wide receivers to perform. Justin Jefferson only had 3 catches, 4 targets against the Packers. Adam Thielen, same, only 4 targets against the Packers. So if they want to push that direction, that's the holistic view that you start thinking about. And of course, no way in hell do I want to trade away Adam Thielen. I want 2 great wide receivers. I want a mobile quarterback who
We'd
can
like
pass.
3.
I don't want to worry about left guard and right guard when we're going into the offseason, but that's what Kirk Cousins requires.
Okay. Well, let's spin this thing forward. Just a week, though. Let's not look at the offseason. We still got. I know when the team and the record is so bad, it's tough to just keep looking at that and thinking about, okay, this next game. But it looks like we have a winnable game coming up. I mean, they still got Matt Patricia over there, don't they? Detroit. David, talk to me. What are you thinking about when you look at this upcoming matchup with Detroit? What are you thinking? What is your prediction on the game plan that we roll into this game with?
I never like doing predictions because I'm usually wrong. But I suspect the game plan will be real similar to what it was. I expect more passing, however. Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, who are great. I want to see more Irv Smith and Rudy in the red zone. I expect more of that because they're indoors in a beautiful 72-degree, Ford Field, under the roof, no wind, no nothing. But I still expect a lot of heavy run. Matt Patricia is known to be a train wreck, especially this time of season, is when the Detroit usually starts to implode. I want the Vikings to contribute to that. And I think they can. My biggest question is the defense and who's going to play. Is Dantzler going to be back? Are we playing this, Band-Aid over here and gauze patch over here? Is Adam Thielen going to get time at corner? We'll see. But I think that tests and gets Mike Zimmer's brain working. And I think that is good overall. And I do believe that the Vikings can win this game, should win this game. But, it's 2020, so I'm not saying they will. I made a mistake of saying they should a long time ago, and we almost got our asses waxed, and it took a fourth quarter comeback. But they can and they should. I'll give you that.
How about you, Flip? What are you thinking about? Because when you look at this again, and I guess I keep making the mistake because I'm looking at all these games, looking at how our offense matches up, how our offense lines up. And I mean, on the outside, we have all of the advantages. I mean, we have Thielen against Okudah. We got Jefferson versus a player I've never heard of before. And for some reason, PFF has BB back in the starting lineup, and we know how Flip feels about that one. But BB is our number 3. I mean, this looks like a game we should be able to throw it all over their heads. I guess, Flip, do you think that's the way we go in this one? We just go the other way and light them up, or is this another Dalvin game?
Hey, my concern with the 2020 Vikings hasn't been about matchups. It's been about, are they going to show up awake, alive, ready to play? Dalvin Cook has kind of emerged this last week. As we talk about that swagger. Maybe they have some of that now. If they show up focused, yeah, they win this game. That's what's needed. That's simple.
That's it.
That's what's expected.
I'd love to go into matchups, but
so
we're even.
At this point, for you, it's basically Dalvin is beyond just being, the most important player on the offense. At this point, for you, you're kind of. It seems as though you're chalking it up as Dalvin being kind of the leader of the offense as well.
Well, no, not. I'm talking in attitude, in speech. He's not the only one.
If he's the one that's setting the tone and that people are following, and his swag is what makes the rest of the team go, would that not make him the de facto leader of the team, regardless of, anything else? I mean, titles, not titles, position. Like if he's what makes it all go. I mean, he's the leader of the offense.
Whether the ball is in his hands or not, yes. And I don't think he's the only one. Adam Thielen on Sunday, he's asking Zimmer if he can go in at cornerback. That's the type of stuff we're talking about. Let's have these two men show up, lead us. We did the Kirk Cousins thing. We saw the guy try to lead some pregame speeches. we tried to kind of stage this thing around Kirk, and then he would go out there and throw an interception on the first play of the game. So has the person stating the "let's go win this game" message changed enough? Is it in the right hands now? And do we have young men who are going to follow those people?
I love it.
You said Sunday, Dalvin has the C on his chest, finally.
Yeah.
And he's taken that to heart, and I appreciate that greatly.
Yeah, and so is Thielen, and, so is Eric Kendricks. It's what this team needs.
Oh, I want to get back to DJ Wanham real quick. You'd mentioned DJ Wanham ending the game of the Packers, right? We all went in there, and Aaron Rodgers was driving down. We knew there was time, and all of us were going, oh, no, here it goes again. We're going to lose. The rookie, DJ Wanham, didn't know that story, didn't know what to expect. He stepped up and made that strip sack and won the game. You talked about that being an attitude changer.
Yeah,
I do believe that. Take that and Cook's performance, and that could go forward.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if I'm going that far with all of that, because we still did not play great in the trench. Like, he made a good play.
Right, he made a good play.
He made a good play with Rodgers. Trying to buy time, not being aware. He made a good play, but I don't know.
Our defense is banged up.
Our defensive line still didn't look like they belonged out there.
No, a lot. Our whole defense is banged up beyond belief. It's like the 2016 offensive line. But they are making plays when, most people are saying, hey, these are second, third stringers, or like's been said before, these are guys that should be on the practice squad, and they're still making plays. And that's the attitude that will lead to success if they keep that up.
I'm giving that more to Zimmer than I am to any individual players on the defense not named Eric Kendricks. Like, when you even look at the totality of how the game graded out, Zimmer gets all the credit for me, and then those dudes were just out there doing what they were supposed to. And but Zimmer won us the game.
The takeaway I'm saying, Jayson, is number one, trust your coach, trust Zimmer, because he put you in that position even though you were overmatched. And number two, don't give up. If you get burned in the first quarter, go back out there in the second quarter. You get burned in the second quarter, go get out there second half. Just don't give up. And, hopefully that's a lot better feeling than, damn, we lost on a last-second play to the best quarterback in the league again. And, Daniil Hunter, when he first came in the league,
we weren't playing Russell Wilson this week, Flip.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Hey, we had Big Red James Lynch make a play in that Seattle game too. But you start talking about Daniil Hunter. Clearly, when even from the start, he was way better than anything we're seeing now. But how did you know we had something in Daniil Hunter from a fan standpoint? You just saw 2 or 3 flashes a game. It wasn't that he was taking over. It was just like, boom, there's Daniil, there's 99, here and there. And that's just type of things that you can look on. If DJ Wanham, nobody's expecting him to be a double-digit sack guy this year. But if he's just making 1 or 2 plays a game for a 4th-round pick, that's the type of stuff you build on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Let's see him go get Matt Stafford.
So that's it. We're gonna bring this thing home. I know you don't like making predictions, David, but you're here, so I'm gonna make you do it anyway. We win in this game, we lose in this game. What's happening when we play these Lions?
I think we win. If they continue with what they are, and I think Zimmer's and his, telling the front office, I'm doing this my way. I think they win.
Okay.
But the score is.
What are you seeing?
Oh, God damn it. I don't want to do it. We win this game if Dalvin Cook stays healthy. Can I say that? Does that count?
I mean, That's fine. There we go. So we have two we think we're gonna wins, but we're Vikings fans, so we always gotta emotionally hedge just a little bit, and that's it. That's
Well,
it. I
yeah.
think we win this game just because I'm up here, I'm in Canada. There's too many Detroit Lion fans around, and I still catch flack anytime we do anything. And so I just need us as much like for all of y'all, like the Green Bay game means everything for you, just because of my life as a Vikings fan. Detroit and the Bears. Those are the games that I
Man.
need us to win because of who I'm going to hear from if we don't. So I'm just going to try to will it into existence. We're winning the game.
Man, tell those fans to start cheering for the Argonauts or some shiz, man. Tell them to start cheering for what, the Rough Riders or the 67s, one of them teams.
I think we're mixing sports at this point, but it all works, and that's it. That's the show. Viewers, thanks for being with us. I love the comments. All of you are correct. We need a quarterback. We need a quarterback. We need a quarterback. We had someone in there shouting out Mormon Mahomes saying we need to get all the Zach Wilson in our life. And I've been hearing that a lot. So we're going to have to get JR to break him down for us. But yes, we're all in agreement. We need a quarterback. Rick doesn't seem to agree with any of us. So I guess we're probably going to get a defensive tackle, or maybe JR saying that this is a great class to find us a new tackle. So maybe Ezra stays inside. We draft ourselves a new tackle in the first round, roll the dice with Kirk again, and we see how this thing goes.
And then we still got Dozier in there. I don't want to get into that.
Anyway,
we got to get rid of that Dozier guy.
Not do it. We were optimistic. Let's bring it home. David, roll the credits, my friend.
Will do. Everybody have a great week.
Let's go.
Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us on your favorite aggregator. Skol, everybody.